All right. So, Doug from Pine Creek is wrong again about something on the internet. Let's talk about it. Howdy, folks. Happy Sunday to all of you. This is probably going to be a short one because I wasn't really planning to do one for the weekend. I was going to do a couple next week. But yeah, I wanted to jump in on this one because it features a video, a short, that Pine Creek had dropped a week or so back, maybe 2 weeks ago now, and it disappeared. And I wasn't sure if he removed it or if it got removed. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to kind of limit it to this. There's more stuff. He's making more shorts from stuff he did off this live one. I think he was live yesterday talking about this issue that I'm going to highlight here and talking about some of the previous ones. So there's going to be more. I'm going to cover them, but I'm not going to try to do them all in one show. Probably break it up a little bit. Smaller live shows. Maybe do a couple shorts. We'll see. So I just want to say hello to everybody on this Sunday afternoon. I hope everybody's doing good, or Sunday evening now. It's after 5. Special hello to Spooky Bedhair. He was first here today. Blastermaster is here. Never Wraith. Paul Tidwell is here. Kokos is here. Good to see you both. Jill Warren is here. Great to see you, Jill. Darth Bonson. Mr. Mowdy is here. Hello, hello. And Barnaby Wild is here. All right. So for anybody else that comes in later on, thank you for joining me live. For anybody that catches this afterward, obviously, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do whatever, or don't, warn your friends, if it's that bad for you. So let's just jump right into this. So like I said, Pine Creek had been on a little bit of a tear making shorts and stuff. And one of the ones that he made was to jump on this nonsense here from the Olympics. So if you hadn't heard about it, Imada Khelif is one of the women's boxers, and she is from Algeria. And there was this great big fracas that popped up that she is, in fact, he. That no woman is Imani Khelif. She is, in fact, a man, baby. And, or trans, or intersex, or DSD, or something, right? Something was up. So the reason for this that popped up, the background for it, had something to do with, she had a couple, very kind of one-sided bouts. One was with, I think, the fight that he's actually going to show, that he shows in his short. I don't know the name of the competitor here, but it's pretty one-sided. Khelif pretty easily handled this competitor. But there was also a match that went for like 45 seconds. It was an Italian competitor. Khelif got her with a straight jab right into the nose and broke it. Good, straight, sharp punch, broke her nose. And that competitor, I'm blanking on her name. She dropped to her knees and she gave up. She couldn't fight through the pain, which happens. Getting punched in the nose hurts a lot. Boxing hurts a lot. So the stuff starts happening. The social YouTubes starts happening. Despite the fact that Imani Khelif boxed in Tokyo in the last Summer Olympics to no controversy whatsoever. A year ago, she was kicked out, banned, blocked, or whatever by the International Boxing Association. And the International Boxing Association is sort of a notoriously corrupt, not transparent at all organization that sort of oversees all this. And they were having an enormous amount of problems within the boxing sport and community, and with the International Olympics Committee, in that they were rigging fights. I think there was evidence and it had been conclusively proven that they had rigged at least 11 of them. Not great. Also, the guy that runs that now, Umar Kremlev or something like that, whatever his name is, he's sort of the guy that's ahead of it now. He's a Russian national. And the sole sponsor of the IBA now, the International Boxing Association, is Gazprom from Russia. Well, Imani Khelif ended up having to take a sex test to see if she's got the testosterone or she's got the chromosomes or she's got the something that made her capable of beating a Russian opponent, which she did about a year ago. Umar Kremlev decided to come out and besmirch her and say she failed this test. She's got stuff going on. When asked, the explanation that he gave was that she had an XY chromosome. Okay. There are women, there are rare situations where this happens, but there was no confirmation as to how they determined this with the test, and no real, there has been no confirmation at all that this is a thing. Well, since that happened and this happened here, there's been a little bit of social media rumbling and more of this stuff. So Umar had gone out onto right-wing media and state media in Russia complaining about this competitor, and I believe he even complained a little bit about the other competitor that was involved, this Lin Xian from Taiwan. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. She's the middleweight, I think. And they were saying the same thing about her. She also failed these because Lin Xian beat a Russian favorite. And so naturally, and then she gets, so there seems to be a trend where if you are from one country and you beat the favored Russian competitor, then all of a sudden there's suspicion that you might be a man. And so this is becoming a thing. The IBA, as far as having any real say in how boxing gets adjudicated or judged or run, administered, whatever, by the IOC, that's been removed because the IOC has deemed them to be, they lack transparency and they are notoriously corrupt. They're surrounded in problems. And you can find this, you can look this up. So that's some of the background behind this. I didn't know anything about this issue until I see this stream from Doug from a couple weeks back. And I want to play this immediately here. He starts off talking about how this was this. What Doug admits here, he played this, it played for a little bit, and then I saw other YouTubers. Misha Petrov did a couple of videos on this, and hers were stupid. And then I saw links to J.K. Rowling's comments about this from X and a variety of other places. And what I know, I'm like, okay. Then I went back to actually check this out, and it was gone. I'm like, oh, maybe Doug wised up. Maybe he realized this probably shouldn't happen. I did about 5 minutes worth of digging and left a comment on this video like, I don't think this is what you think it is. And then it disappeared. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe. But now it's back. And now here's Doug to talk about it. So I'm going to start there. I've given you the preface of kind of what's going on, my, very, very general overview understanding of kind of what I think is going on. We'll play this and see what he has to say about this. Jefferson, you should react to those leaked Project 2025 videos, at least some snippets. Yeah, I'm going to look into those. I read ProPublica, and I did see that they have all 14 hours of the training. The one snippet that I really enjoy is leave no paperwork for government watchdogs to find you. Like, so there's already an emphasis in their training on avoiding transparency. It's like, perfect. That's perfect. Jefferson Sebastian, you and me debate watch streams. It's going to be glorious. Yeah. It will. I'd want you to read a phone book. I appreciate that. And I just dated myself. You did. But I know what a phone book is. So I've dated myself as well. Blastmaster said the Italian was already injured from what I understand, according to the post-match interview with her. Yeah, it should be said, part of the explanation, the Italian competitor that got that hurt, whether she was injured exclusively in that match with Khelif or whether she had carried an injury over and it made it worse, she did not blame Khelif. She, if anything, if you hear what she said immediately afterward, she's kind of hard on herself because she couldn't play through the pain kind of thing. But it was clear that there was stuff was going wrong, and it was an injury that she just could not push past. So yeah, that happens. So it's not a lie if it justifies my feelings. Well, we're gonna hear about that. So here we go. Pine Creek talking about this video. Again, I wanted to cover this like 2 weeks ago. Where did it go? How is it back? What's going on? And what has Doug learned anything about it since it has been on a break for a couple of weeks? Been on vacation.
So about a couple of weeks ago, I made this video, and it was taken down without warning from YouTube as hate speech. This is from the Olympics. This is two human beings, Homo sapiens, boxing one Homo sapien is not like the other.
They are both women. I don't know why he's giggling about this and acting like a moron. They are both women. It has not been, nothing about this controversy has anything to do with reality. Imani Khelif is not transgender. She does not identify as transgender. She has never been through any transitioning. She was born female. She was raised as a girl. She identifies as a human female girl, woman. And she's from Algeria, where it's illegal to do that. Does she have an XY chromosome? We don't know. That actually hasn't been substantiated. Does she have more testosterone than the average woman? Also, we don't know, and that doesn't have anything to do with her being male. Does that mean that she might have some kind of physical advantage over other competitors? Yes. But that's not uncommon in sports. I will point to the genetic advantages that a swimmer like Michael Phelps has over his competitors. That doesn't make him invincible, but it gives him an advantage. And he's allowed to compete. So, yeah. Where's Doug going to go with this?
One of these things is not like the other.
They are both women, so this is stupid.
And I'll just play it. And you tell me if you think this is hateful.
Ooh, that's
loud.
Sí.
All of this is loud. Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't. In the title, it says audio fix less loud at 27 minutes. I don't know why, but this is really gainy through here, and I've kind of tried to dial back off of it, but it's going to be kind of blary. Also, I don't know where he got this clip from, but I think it's like either Spanish or Portuguese. I'm pretty sure it's Spanish. He's going to.
Sí, sí. Se vio clara cantándose con el jab y otra vez la combinación ahí.
Maybe it's hate speech because it's in Spanish. Is that Spanish or Portuguese? Whatever.
I just want to call attention to the thing that it says at the very bottom, right? Like, so he's got this clip here and there's captions in it. I don't know if he put the captions in the video portion of it, of whatever he clipped. But the title of his short is Male Boxes Female at the Olympics! ! Hashtag feel sorry for ism. Hashtag wokeism. That title is a lie. Khelif is not a male. She is not trans. She is not. This is not one of those things where even Doug is going to be like, oh, okay, well, whatever. She identified. No. Nope. Born female, raised as a woman, identifies as a woman, human, female, not trans, not intersex, possibly DSD, but the DSD is not something that she's confirmed. And I think the DSD thing was offered by GLAAD and another organization as a possible explanation for maybe some physiological differences between her and her opponents. I don't know if it was offered as some way of saying this is definitely what's going on with her and this is why she can take on all comers. She is not, I should let people know, she is not undefeated, and I don't believe that I don't think she gold medaled in Tokyo. I'm pretty sure she didn't. She may have bronzed. So again, this was not an issue when she's been boxing for just over 6 years. She boxed in the Tokyo Olympics to no controversy whatsoever. And now, because she's coming into this year's Olympics with a ban from the IBA and a disgruntled Russian nationals propaganda campaign saying in a way that is actually quite dangerous for someone like Khelif, because what he's accusing her of is something that I believe is illegal for her back in her home country. So he's just being an asshole.
I mean, now that's hate speech if you're taking it down because it's in a different
Doug doesn't understand hate speech, even when he's trying to mock it.
Language.
En el upper, otro golpe.
Puños de Khelif no pudo contrarrestar lo rápido que desenfundaba tanto la izquierda como la derecha, y en la parte de este tercer episodio se estuvo comiendo en reiteradas ocasiones el jab y el recto.
Notice what I'm doing here, the links are in the description of this video. World Boxing Championship alleges that
it wasn't the World Boxing Championship. It was the International Boxing Association came out and said they didn't just allege, right? We have to say it's an alleged thing because they came out and said, no, we forced her to take a test and we have proof that she's a male. We have proof of XY chromosomes. When asked to put up or shut up, they continued to run their mouths and not show proof. To the best of my knowledge, there has been no confirmation from any testing organization that anything that the IBA has accused Khelif of is real. They're saying that she's a secret man. And none of that is confirmed yet. And Chuckles here is running with this. He was running with it before it got banned, and then he went silent about it, and now he's back out talking. Pragmatic Crystal says she can't even celebrate her victory. She endured intense scrutiny in the ring and online abuse from around the world over misconceptions about her womanhood. Exactly. And she's going to face even more. Now that she's meddled, she is pursuing legal action against different agencies because the accusations that they've made are, one, not only unfounded, but would subject her to certain penalties in the country where she lives and in other countries where she travels. So they're on the hook for damages for talking this shit. So this will be interesting. Hey, Peter, good to see you. He's a question. Has Dougie ever been known to let facts interfere with his snowflake opinions? No. Not really. Well, he has been willing to change. He's been willing to soften his opinion on Christian nationalism. Somebody presented their opinion as if it were fact. And Doug's like, well, that doesn't sound bad to me. Tentatively, I guess I'm all go for that. So I don't know if that counts. Probably not.
Khelif is the one in blue, has XY chromosome. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the World Boxing Championship is alleging this.
The world, I don't know what that is. That's not. It's the International Boxing Association, which is headed by Umar Kremlev. I don't believe it's the World Boxing Championship. I don't. That's not a thing. You know, you can. I think you can win that. World Boxing Champions. IBA World Boxing. They're saying the IBA, but they're saying World Boxing Champions for some stupid reason. That it's the IBA. The Mexican announcers don't call her he. No. The only one that's insinuated that Imani Khelif is a secret male is Umar Kremlev, who says that they ran tests and have proof. They have not presented that proof. And anyone else says, I can't believe they'd let a man go into that ring with a woman and do to her what he did. That animal. Like, Imani Khelif is a woman. And a human female may have who knows, maybe she does have some of these conditions. I guess these guys are going to end up having to like tie themselves in knots trying to figure out if that disqualifies her from being a female and or woman. But, we'll find out. But again, it's important to note the person that started this was the head of the IBA who seemed to have it out for her after she beat a Russian favorite competitor. And now all of a sudden we made her run a test and she failed that test. She's got all the man juice hormones and she's got the XY chromosome. Secret dude. Which I'm sure is news to Imani Khelif.
I'm reporting the news.
You're reporting the news by saying male boxes female at the Olympics. The news doesn't have proof of this. The news is the IBA has said they have tested these competitors and seen that they have XY chromosomes. Upon further investigation, the IBA seems to be full of shit and will not present proof of the tests that they ran. They won't really show the results of them. So this is nothing. It's almost as if it was some kind of, a grudge-filled smear campaign directed at somebody who defeated a Russian competitor. I mean, what's more likely? that they spent the money to find out that this like every time this happens, like every time one of our Russian competitors gets defeated, we started to notice a little bit of a trend here. The women fighting our competitors are secret males. XY females exist, and you would never know without a genetic test because gender is not based on anything but secondary characteristics. You make gender distinction on visuals alone. Again, this is irrelevant. This is irrelevant at this point. They said they ran the test. They made the claim that she has XY chromosomes. She doesn't acknowledge the accuracy of that test, and they won't prove it. So all of that is jumping way too far ahead of the argument. They need to show proof that she actually failed said test. What we do know from Khelif is that she was born a female. She identifies as female and a human female woman. Her parents have acknowledged that. There's pictures of her as a little girl. She has never identified or socialized or done anything as if she were a man, ever. That has never happened. And she competed in the 2004 the 2024 or the 2020 Summer Olympics to no fanfare at all. She was in Tokyo. This never came up. Now it's an issue because some greasy sleazeball who's heading the IBA has accused her of being a secret male with no proof. He says he has proof, but he won't fucking prove that. He won't show that proof. He will not put that up for scrutiny. Trust me, we know. We ran the test. We know who should be disqualified and who shouldn't, and they disqualified her based on that. And they still had a grudge against the IOC because the IOC wouldn't stand by their decision to ban her from the Olympics because they're like, yeah, your standards are crap. So yeah, I mean, you can get into the whole. Well, could she be an XY female? Absolutely, she could. But the fact of the matter is, they're saying they know she is. When pushed, they don't seem to know. They're just telling the world, oh, trust us. We did our due diligence and we know. And do what we tell you. No, you need to back that shit up. What's going on? The Russians are mad because they can't win anything. Yep, can't invade Ukraine, can't win the Olympics. Some people don't understand that XY is not like some ontological category. It's not even really a genotype. XY can result in male or female phenotypes. Yeah, sure. But the problem is they are not. The IBA is saying she's got an XY chromosome, and when asked, like, okay, prove that. Nope. Trust us. We did the test. She's got it. Okay. She's saying she's not. So where do we go from there? They don't have standing at the IOC, and they're demanding that they have standing at the IOC. And they're saying, look, we disqualified her for a good reason. Really? What was your reason? We ran a sex test on her. She's got testosterone and an XY chromosome. Really? Can we see proof of that? No. You wanted back in how?
Estos momentos de apremio para la mexicana, como observamos aquí que le estaban dejando el guante
Champions of this
en el
tournament.
botón y la de Golden Bell Series.
Aquí está por abandono, como ya les platicábamos desde la esquina, dijeron no más.
Okay. Is this hate speech?
Yeah. At the very least, it's a complete lie. All Doug here is doing is passing along really stupid propaganda from the IBA. Daniel Cooper points out here, Khelif has lost to other females before, so it's not like she's dominating her field. She's not. She's not undefeated. They're making it sound like, well, they put this poor toddler in the ring with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson rolled over her like a steamroller. Like, that's not been the case. That's not her record. I think she's got like a 9-5 record or something like that, or 9-4. Like it's not a bad record, but there's plenty of losses on there. She's not, unbeatable. Nathan, good to see you. No one knows her test results except the corrupt Russian Federation that tested her. Lamau. Exactly. the IBA's argument. Trust me, bro. Yeah, which is hilarious because they're like, well, who are you going to trust? The your own lying eyes, or like, dude, what the like? And not only that, but they don't even really concede the fact. Like, look, it'd be one thing like if you lie about Lin Chan, I think I'm getting her name right, the Taiwanese one, and say, yeah, we disqualified her too because she also had the testosterone and she also had the XY chromosome. Like, really? The Taiwanese don't seem to think so. And they're like, oh, well. And as far as she's like, well, I can go back to Taiwan and no one's going to give a shit. And she's right. They're not going to give a shit. They'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. Russians playing dirty. Okay. Yeah. Was the sky blue today? Yeah. But when you accuse somebody like Khelif of doing something like this, and she's from a conservative country like Algeria, that can have some problems for her, especially if officials in Algeria believe that crap. Is Duck competing for Canada or the U.S. in the Oppression Olympics? I didn't even know we had a team. Putin 2020. I'll be in Kiev by summer. Zelensky. I'll be in Moscow by the winter. Ravel, yes, and it is slander. It is slander. Yeah. And Doug is perpetuating in a way, it's kind of like a libel kind of thing at this point. Put it in writing. Male boxes female at the Olympics. And this is all the result of these wokes and these people that feel sorry for them. All these tree-hugging, bleeding heart hippies out there that want everybody to feel good about everything. Just letting this guy beat up on this poor little girl in the ring. Like, that is not what happened. It was 2 women boxers and one of them got injured. And this particular boxer ended up taking the gold. Thank you very much for that link, Pragmatic Crystal. Next on Fox News, they're going to try measuring her skull shape. Yeah, a little phrenology just to keep things scientific. Exactly. Khelif doesn't have a particularly high ratio of wins by KO. She's not a Terminator. Exactly. Yeah, and they're like, well, every time she goes in there, she just basically guts them like Rambo. Like, her win-loss ratio does not suggest that she's an indomitable figure in boxing at all. And no one thought that before. Jefferson, we covered this on the I'm not surprised that you did. What I was surprised at was how quickly the video disappeared. Because when it popped up, I was like, wait, what? Did a little looking around. I'm like, who is this Imani Khelif? I hadn't been following the Olympics that closely, and I really hadn't been following boxing. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, okay. And then I left a comment, and then I saw a few other people doing stuff on like TikTok commenting on it. I did not see you guys' coverage on it, unfortunately. I should go back and find it. In fact, if you have a link, if you haven't posted it, please post it here. I'll make sure that it goes through. If it doesn't go through, I might have to like free it up. Sometimes YouTube holds links. But yeah, it just disappeared, and I thought, as it started coming out more and more, like, no, this is just an accusation from the IBA that it's not really founded. There's no reason to believe that Imani Khelif there's no reason to believe that they're accusing her of being a man, and then they're accusing her of being trans. Neither one is true. It's just insulting for everyone to try to wrap this into it. And the whole point is like, oh, they're up to something over there. These people. And it's like, no, they're not. You are. You're the ones trying to turn this into something bad. And the reason that you are is because you're a bigot, and you heard from this other moron over in Russia who's got an axe to grind against somebody who beat one of his favorites, and you're spreading the same horse shit. So.
Now, good news. I appealed this, and they brought it back up. But their algorithm or someone immediately just thought, oh, you can't say anything against intersex people or trans.
You called a female boxer in the title of your video a male, dog. I can't believe he's even doing this. I mean, I've seen him do some really brain dead things, but this is remarkably tone deaf and stupid. The video that you put, like, oh, okay, well, what about what's going on up there? I'm just reporting the news. I'm just passing along information. That a man boxed a woman and the Olympics allowed it? That's fake. That is a lie. And if your only justification for believing that it's true is the word of the head of a corrupt boxing organization who has demonstrated that he has an incentive to lie and demonstrated that he's willing to rig fights, not only willing to rig fights, but successfully did it, and it can be proven that he did. So what's more likely? That he's got an axe to grind against somebody that beat one of his favorite competitors a year or so ago, or they did some tests on her and found out she's a secret man posing as a woman so that she can manipulate her way to a 9-5 KO ratio? A 9-5 KO ratio. That's pretty. I mean, that's what you'd expect to see in a regular competitor in the right weight class. That's not a KO ratio that seems to indicate that they are OP in that particular category. Stephanie, I have the fucking receipts deep. The IOC displatformed IBA in 2023. Yep. Does Doug even identify as a skeptic? Not when it comes to this stuff. No, not when it comes to, like, if there's something going on that makes the tree-hugging bleeding heart lib look bad, he's all there for it. And he does not need as much proof. He's like William Lane Craig. You know, if there's even the smallest chance that it's true, I'm there. You need to know how fucking misogynistic this is at root. She's not trans nor intersex. I mean, it is incredibly misogynistic. Also, the idea that these people are representing some kind of like benevolent chauvinism in this. J.K. Rowling's comments were just, can you believe they let that man in there to beat up on that little girl? You know, comments like those are two female competitors who are dedicated to this sport. One does not want to be referred to as a monster, and the other one probably does not want to be referred to as a defenseless victim. They are competitors. They are putting their skills and their strength and their endurance to the test in a competition. Painting one as a perpetrator and the other as a victim is insulting to everyone involved in the situation. The competitors, the viewers, the supporters, even people who are out there being like, I think we need to just get rid of the Olympics, or we need to get rid of combat sports in general. Even to them, somehow this somehow manages to make a mockery of them too. It's fucking unbelievably stupid. Did you see the Destiny v. Prager debate at the end when Prager couldn't get Destiny on any point? He resorted to trans athletes in women's sports. Doug should love it. Well, I didn't see that. I'm hoping that Doug has seen it and that Doug will cover it. I've never heard Doug talk about boxing before. The only time he ever mentions sports is when it has to do with someone's genitals. He's fucking weird and strangely obsessive. Yeah, and the fact that he glommed onto this, I was genuinely hoping with this one, he saw this, comments started coming in and were like, dude, pump the brakes. You've been had. This is a propaganda thing being perpetuated by a bozo who's head of the IBA. Don't fall for it. Yeet that shit. No. Now he's back like, oh, well, it mysteriously disappeared because the hate speech police over at LibTube decided to pull it. Now it's back on, so now he can talk about how he was wronged.
People or whatever, it's that makes them sad, and this is hate speech, and so we got.
Who claimed that this boxer had a special win-loss ratio? Well, no one. But it seemed to be implied that when she was being put up against the Italian woman, that they were horribly mismatched, that the Italian competitor had no business being in the ring with that monster or that man or a male boxer, or whatever they wanted to use, whatever pejorative. So the implication is like, okay, there is something completely one-sided about this competition, that this Khelif person was being put in a match with somebody that she was just going to roll over. Okay. If this is something that is happening now, Do we have any reason to believe that that's the situation going on between the Italian competitor and Imani Khelif? If you look at Imani Khelif's win-loss ratio, you don't see that she's ever had an advantage. You don't see that she's dominating in her category, in her weight class. It doesn't matter that somebody that made the claim about that, right? That is evidence that she is not just going up against people and just wiping them out. So when somebody like J.K. Rowling is insinuating that, oh, well, if you just look at him, that one's just going to steal. You can't tell from that. Khelif has lost to competitors that looked like that Italian competitor. She got injured. Shit happens. It's unfortunate, but it happened. In fact, according to, I think it was Daniel Cooper mentioned, she was already going in there with an injury. Oh, thank you. PC's posted the link there, the transpositions episode covering this topic. When they covered it, it's right here. Doug's twice as loud as you are. Yeah, I know. Because his video is insanely beefed up. I can change my settings and boost my audio a bit. I'll try and do that. I don't know if that's going to help or not.
You got to take it down. Okay, number one.
Yeah,
I really don't know if this person in here, Blue, is intersex or female or male, but according to the world,
there's no indication that she is any of those things, and it's her business if she wants to tell us if she is.
Boxing, was it the international boxing?
Khelif, no.
The World Boxing Championship, and they had a news conference as well. They go by that they've done genetic testing, has XY chromosomes. Question is there a penis and testicles producing testosterone? And if so, can't produce small gametes because there's no penis, but can because there's testicles. That gets complicated, right?
What in the fuck?
To me, this
none of this is relevant. A dingbat at the IBA said that Imani Khelif was a guy. She's not. It's simple. This is just these guys being misogynistic creeps and being really fucking weird and desperate about it too. And it's like they're justifying their misogyny by throwing in lots of transphobia on top of it. Being like, well, we're not really misogynist. We just hate those trans people. See? We're just concerned. Like, okay, awesome.
Sounds like intersex, if all this is true. But here's my very simple solution to sports. That is, if you are a man, meaning you have XY chromosomes, you have a penis, you have testicles, you go in men's sports. And if you're a woman, meaning you have a uterus, ovaries, XX chromosomes.
Cool. What does this have to do with the situation? Is Doug not going to be satisfied? So Doug is justified calling Imani Khelif a male until he sees her genitals and inspects her uterus. Does she need to be fertile too? Does she need to be able to reproduce? I mean, just asking questions. Khelif got her ass beat by an Irish boxer that was a head shorter than her. I heard about that. I heard about that one. And I should have looked up. I should have looked up whether or not she medaled in the Tokyo Olympics. I don't think she did. Maya is here. Good to see you, Maya. And I think Michael is here as well. Let's see. We covered it the day the story broke, which was August 1st. Yeah. And I don't know when he originally posted this video. But at the same time, like with Pine Creek, Pine Creek's he's just hopping on the bandwagon. He's just he got this from his right-wing news sources because they were all collectively, they'd had the business meeting in the morning with donuts and coffee. I'm like, what are we clutching our pearls about today? This crazy crap here. What's our source? The International Boxing Association. All right, heads up, let's do this. And Leroy Jenkins their way into this bullshit made up controversy. And the only thing that I can see that's actually going to come out of it is that somebody very real is going to owe Imani Khelif very real money in terms of damages for very real harm they've done, in order to make no point at all except to demonstrate how much they hate women and trans people, somehow each one more than the other simultaneously. Incredible. Really a hell of a good job.
Produce large gametes, which are eggs. You go in women's sports. And if you're intersex, you default to men's sports. Full stop. Then what you do is you confidently and boldly proclaim, if anybody has a problem with that, they can go to their room and cry for 2 hours. It is okay. And I will be the first to admit that there's going to be very, very rare cases where this rule is horribly unfair.
Okay. What is he talking about now? This is a different debate to have. This is a discussion to have with trans people and trans competitors. That's not the situation. The situation here is that a greasy goofball named Umar Kremlev used transphobia to justify misogyny in not only one, disqualifying a woman competitor from boxing from the IBA, but then trying to make sure that she was cut off of any opportunity to compete at the IOC, an organization that his organization has no official say in at all, because of demonstrated shenanigans like this. That's what happened. This is a nothing burger. The only thing substantive about this is the level of hate on display from the dipshits like Doug, who are glomming onto this and being like, we told you, this is an example. This is what happens when the bleeding heart tree huggers, they just want to feel sorry for everybody and see that. Do you see you see the advantages they'll take? You give these people an inch, they'll take a mile. Give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a cup of milk. Like, I don't understand how anyone would think that there's any solid ground to stand on with this at all. Like, okay, so what's the issue? Well, that guy says that she is actually a he. What's his proof? He says that he and his group forced her to take a sex test and they found some things. Are they going to share those results? No. Okay. Well, see you next Tuesday, Umar. Like, I mean,
and that's okay, because it's horribly unfair to maybe one person out of a billion or million, let's say. No, maybe even billion, because you got to not only be intersex, but you got to be, want.
None of this is relevant at all. He desperately wants to turn like, oh, I want to have this discussion about trans people in sports. Cool. Go have that discussion. First of all, he doesn't want to have a discussion. He wants some trans people that he can stand there and preach at and say, you don't belong in sport. You only belong in the competitions I think you're appropriate to compete in. And it's based on your gametes and how you wear underwear, like how they fill out and all that kind of stuff. That's how I'm going to determine it. Cool, Doug. This has nothing to do with that. I always get that mixed up. This video has nothing to do with that. They accused her. You guys are accusing her based on accusations made by some Russian Putin crony dipshit from a corrupt organization that is not respected at all in the international community and amongst other sports. Just try your fucking hardest to remove the trans drama from your life. Stop feeling sorry for your side. Stop trying to get people woke to your plight. And just think about what you've actually got going on here. A moron accused that woman of being a dude. And when asked for proof, he said, trust me, I've got it. but you wouldn't understand it. It's in another country, and we haven't translated it or something. Like, you know, yeah, I've got a great looking girlfriend. You wouldn't know her. She goes to school in Canada, by the way.
To do sports. It's okay if it's horribly unfair for a few. Because
exactly. The problem is that simple men like Doug seek simple solutions to complex problems they don't understand and blather on about how they are right and everyone else is wrong. Right. And then overcomplicating this situation. Like, the reason that a goofball like Umar Kremlev would do something like this is because it precisely feeds the instincts of useful idiots like Doug to go off on the little rampages and the tirades and veer down all the tangents that are necessary, so that instead of actually dealing with the facts of the situation, which was, okay, this dude fucking hates women boxers and accused this one of being a secret guy. And what did it ignite? A bunch of anti-trans sentiment in right-wing media throughout social media and throughout mainstream media in the United States and in parts of Western Europe, around the world, actually. But I'll, in a big way here, because for some fucking reason, even mainstream media was acting like we needed to take this seriously. Well, maybe we do need to have this conversation. Not with this. You do not have to have this conversation with this. You can politely tell Kremlev to shut the fuck up. Do you have proof? Sure. Where is it? In my other jacket. Fuck off. Fuck off.
Because if you don't do it, it's horribly unfair for the many, or at least more. Because newsflash, I'll even use the word cis, even though it's a dog whistle. It's a left-wing dog whistle to call someone cis.
It's a left-wing dog whistle to call someone cis? What is left-wing about the term cis? I hate it when he does this shit. A lot of this kind of cultural and sociological stuff is neither left-wing or right-wing. It gets adopted by certain people in the left-wing and right-wing because it may have either some kind of utility value in their identity and virtue signaling, or it's connected to some kind of principled stance they have on other things and they can tie it in. In terms of this, if you're talking about left, and I don't mean to get real super pedantic about this, but Doug doesn't understand that distinction well enough to say, well, this is what the left's doing with these words. And by the way, cis that's a way that they can dog whistle. To whom, about what? How? What are they signaling to each other? I would love to hear more about this.
You know, the cis lives matter. And if we care about the feelings of the intersex and the trans, then we ought to care about the feelings of the cis.
Unless those cis are bigots. And the opinions that they're looking to hold on to is like, look, I know that these are my feelings and I want them to be heard, and this is all that I need to make this better, is for these other people to go away and cease existing at all, or at the very least exist but in private, so that I never have to acknowledge their existence and never have to deal with this again. Can someone please do that for me? Which group is more feel sorry for-ism at that point? The one that needs the world wrapped in Nerf in such a way that they don't have to experience anything different that will blow their fucking tiny minds? Or the group that's like, look, this is who I am. Hi. Oh, well, you just want me to accept you because you're this feel sorry for-ism, woke, bleeding heart, libtard, beta cut. Get out of here. You know, like, I cannot keep up with how fucking inconsistent Doug is with this shit. This is bizarre. I mean, this shit is just fucking weird. Who gives a fuck? And also, the only reason any trans issues, arguments, debate points, whatever these fucking creeps want to talk about when it comes to this, the only reason it has anything to do with this situation here with them is because Umar Kremlev put it there. No one involved in this is trans, and none of them are male. He said they were. And everybody else read something fucking disgusting and hateful into it. Except for the people that are like, what's really going on here? Oh, she's a woman. Oh, from Algeria? Yeah. What's her win? What's her KO win loss rate? Oh, okay. That seems right. Oh, she's never boxed. But, oh, she was in the Tokyo Olympics. Okay. She did okay. Okay. Oh, she was banned from the IBA last year. Why? She beat a Russian competitor that was well liked. And the IBA is headed up by a Russian who is friends with Putin. And it is sponsored solely by Gazprom. Do I have any other sponsors? No, just Gazprom. Oh, okay. All right. I think I've got a pretty good idea what happened. With all these people.
And there's more cis, way more cis, way.
They could get her killed in her country. At the very least, she could end up facing sanctions and criminal penalties. At the very least, yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's real damage. They've done real damages here. And the funny thing is, I mean, funny in the sense that it's absurd and insane, is that it started from Meatball Umar running his mouth, and he doesn't give a shit if she's harmed. But then that mouth right there, piling on. And then claiming that the reason that he's concerned, well, this isn't hate speech. I'm just reporting the news. I'm just passing on information I was told. Really? What was informative about this at all? She's not a male fighting a female. That's a lie. The part that it says World Boxing Championship alleges that Khelif has XY chromosomes, parentheses male. That's true. They do. Can they prove it? They won't. Did they test her? They say they did. Do we know that they did? No. Will they back that claim up? Seemingly no. This doesn't pass the flying man test. This should just be disregarded completely. And Doug jumped on it, did the short. I thought he wised up. He removed it. And then it's back. And now he's on here. Now he's on here preaching to people that I'm sure he's preaching to people like me about what's really wrong here with this. Is this hurting your feelings? No, it does not hurt my feelings. What this actually does is create a very real problem for Imani Khelif in the way Red Fang says. This could potentially cause real damages to her in actual life. And because this is based on bullshit, that is offensive and fucking criminal. What Umar did, right, alleging this shit, is potentially criminal. And media organizations parroting his claims as if they're proof, they're potentially liable for some of this. We'll find out and see where the adjudication goes, but could be interesting. Good to see you, Titan.
Way more cis people than intersex people or trans people. So if you're going to make that feelings argument about hurting people's feelings,
how about getting somebody killed or arrested in their country by making an accusation that there's something that they're not with no proof? Doug, you did that. You made a video and used the title "Male Boxes Female at the Olympics." It sounds like you've made a decision with that title. You believe that's a fact. It is in fact a lie. At the most generous, you could say that is completely unfounded. You have no real evidence to back this accusation up. And it is an accusation because claiming that a competitor is a male has real implications in terms of their standing in their sport, how they medal, how they compete, with whom they're going to compete with, and implications about how this may affect their life when they return to their home country, depending on whether or not somebody there happens to believe them. But you're just passing on the news. You're not passing on the news. This is generating news by way of bullshit.
Then cis win.
How is Putin involved in this? Putin isn't involved in this directly. Umar is a friend of his. Hands
down, cis win. I tell you, the whole queer community with the opening ceremonies and with this, this went to the gold medal, and I believe both participants in the gold medal round in this weight division were both intersex, I believe.
It has not been established that they are intersex, Doug. Fuck. Fucking read. Titan has got it here. She was born with a vagina, uterus, and ovaries. She was reared a girl. She self-identifies as a woman. She is not trans, and we have no reason to believe that she is intersex. None. The only reason that people are speculating about whether or not she may or may not be intersex is if there's anything to the claim that she actually does have an XY chromosome. That's the only thing. And the only reason we have that there's a possibility that she has an XY chromosome is because Umar Kremlov said they ran a test that showed she had. When asked to prove that, he won't back it up, which means he's full of crap. So what do? You go with the evidence that you have. She is not a male. She is a female. I like the fact that somebody like Kremlov, who is motivated in this, if you do some background, you can see his motivations. Despite this, the fact that he's just brought this up is enough for Doug to be like, well, until there could be something more conclusive, I guess it's just anybody's guess. No, that's not how that works either. So if I came out and said, Doug, we were playing poker, took some of your DNA, and I sent it to some of my buddies who run a private DNA testing lab. They cycled it. And it turns out you got XX chromosomes, buddy. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. And I happen to hold to an old-fashioned understanding of women, and I know that women cannot be trusted. And they are duplicitous by nature, prone to lying and emotional manipulation. And I think that's what you're trying to do in these card games, son. So I'm afraid I can't in good conscience play poker with you. So you can prove to me that you are in fact not a lying, deceptive woman. What's he going to do? And anybody at that table, what are they going to do? Oh, well, I guess, the question's out. And he says he's got proof. He won't back it up. But I guess until Doug can prove himself innocent, he's guilty. Which is exactly what they're doing here. Imani Khelif is guilty until she proves herself innocent to the court of public opinion that Doug is happy to adjudicate.
At least that's what's alleged. If the queer community wants people to dislike them, they're doing a wonderful job.
If the straight community is looking for more individuals for whom LGBTQ activists need to direct their animosity towards, Doug is doing a wonderful job setting himself up as a whipping boy at this point. But I love how he's done this. Like, you guys have really made asses of yourselves. Trans advocates and anyone in the LGBTQ community had nothing to do with this bullshit, Doug. Nothing. The fact that Doug is even saying that out loud tells you everything about how fucking gullible he is when it comes to this. He has swallowed this hook, line, and sinker. He is completely hooked on this. And all it took was for a sleazy douchebag named Umar Kremlov to raise the suspicion that this is a situation, and then to use an organization he has corrupt control over to actually kick her out along with the Taiwanese boxer. So at least they kind of put their money where their mouth was. And then the IOC comes around and was like, yeah, no, that sounds like horseshit. Sounds like you're making crap up. And now it's reared its ugly head again. So thanks to idiots like Doug here, Umar Kremlov's propaganda campaign is winning. And Doug now gets to stand here and try to condescend to the entire LGBTQ community of the world. That, folks, this looks really bad for you. Get into your meetings and straighten this up. Message discipline, folks. Come on. This isn't on them, man. Not even a little bit. This wasn't started by them. This was started by a hateful, greasy bigot from Russia who knew that a greasy bigot from Arizona, like Pine Creek Doug, would eat this shit up. And then pretend that someone took away a little bit of his free speech when the private network that he put it on was like, yeah, somebody flagged this as hate speech. We yanked it. It is still up, and it still should be. I don't know if it should be treated as hate speech specifically. I don't know if that's going to be substantiated, but it is misleading spam. That's a direct fucking lie. That is not a male boxer with a female boxer. That's just bullshit.
If the trans community, if their goal is to have the world dislike them, they're amazing at that.
This had nothing to do with trans people, you moron. This was made about trans people by idiots like you and Megyn Kelly and J.K. Rowling. You fucking asshole. They had nothing to do with this. You were the ones that got suckered into this because you morons cannot read in context. The fuck is going on with these guys? Like, if this is an indication of the level of media literacy that's happening here, this is why Doug will vote for Trump. Because he's genuinely not good at thinking things through. This situation with the boxers, just removing wokeism and feel sorry for them. And that's what he's failing to do here. He is indulging in an enormous amount of feelings and identity politics here. And I'll ask him this. Doug, name the LGBTQ activists that put Imani Khelif in that ring. Did that happen? Does Imani Khelif of Algeria, put a pin in that, fight for the LGBTQ of the world? Does she represent them in any way? Does any of this have to do with anything local, regional, or international that involves LGBTQ advocacy in any way, shape, or form? No. And the only way it's even remotely connected to it now is because of the enormous amount of burbling shit transphobia that vomited up out of the American media sphere when this got ginned up again. That's the only reason. Doug is on here saying, you guys need to be careful because this looks really bad for you. Doug, this looks incredibly bad for conservatives. You had to lie about a lie. Umar said that Khelif was a secret male. Megyn Kelly and J.K. Rowling wanted to turn this into the trans are invading our sports. That is a different narrative than what Umar Kremlev put out. Neither one is accurate. Both of them are objectively false from the jump. And you're going to sit there on your channel, folks, this looks bad for you. Like, everything about the LGBT community looks bad to Doug because he hates them and he wants to see them gone. He'd rather they not talk about anything about their lives or experiences anymore. The fact that Doug is trying to tell, well, you know what, guys, this looks bad. Well, let me just take that with a massive grain of salt, Doug, because the last time I checked, it seems pretty obvious that anything LGBTQ is disgusting to you. And that most of what this is not about wokeism or feel sorry forism. This is about Doug feels dirty about something having to do with issues associated with LGBTQ issues. And he's going to vent about it on here. And then he's going to blame the LGBTQ for his confusion and his reactions because he won't take responsibility for his thoughts and the emotions that he's reacting, that are occurring as a reaction to those thoughts. Because you can be rest assured he's only going to react. He will not reflect. Because a 30 seconds worth of reflection should be enough If you were contemplating the statement that he just made as a headline for an article you were about to write, or the title to a video that you were about to do, or the title to a paper you were going to write for school, it should have popped into your head that, wait, that's not fair and accurate to put on the LGBT community. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that. Maybe don't use that language. But if you do that with your, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You believed an idiot named Umar Kremlev when he said that Imani Khelif is a secret man. And then ran with it. Does your Canadian girlfriend know my Canadian girlfriend? She's on the model team for school and pro varsity cheerleader for 6 years. 6 years, really? Mine, 7. Well, sis is a dog whistle. I mean, it floored me. It was really news for me. I've never heard that.
Because people around the world, they watch the opening ceremonies with a guy's testicles hanging out. They watch the boxing matches like this.
What did he say?
Because people around the world, they watch the opening ceremonies with a guy's testicles hanging out.
What about testicles hanging out?
They watch the boxing matches like this, and they're just shaking their head.
Who's shaking? The only people that are shaking their head are people gullible enough to think that Umar Kremlev had a point. You do a small... It takes 2 minutes to do research on Imani Khelif to know that almost everything alleged against her is bullshit. 2 minutes of reading. And what's Doug talking about? What it looks like. The impression. How it feels. Facts don't care about your fucking feelings, remember? Facts do not give a fuck about your feelings. I thought that was like the conservative motto. So get off your ass. Or you don't even need to do that. Don't even let me use that line. Stay on your ass. Crack open that phone. Google and or Kindle that shit. And you will find that this does not hold up to reality. It is factually not true.
Not to mention things like drag queen shows and wanting to talk about genderology to elementary school kids. I mean, this is a perfect way to...
None of this has anything to do with that boxing controversy. The only reason the trans issues got dragged into this is because they literally got dragged into it by freaks like Doug. Umar said that she was a man, not trans. People here said she was trans. And he didn't have proof and wasn't willing to show any kind of proof that he could that she was a man and not a woman. And no one who is trying to say that she's trans can prove that either, because there's no proof for it, because she's not trans. She does not identify as trans. She was born a girl. She has lived as a girl in Algeria. It's pretty well documented what her gender and sex are. But J.K. Rowling and Megyn Kelly and Misha Petrov and Tim Pool and others, Ben Shapiro and Doug, oh, yeah, she's a guy. She's trans. No.
Peeve off parents around the world. Most parents. Of course, there's some wacko parents out there. Most of them are Hollywood women who support this. How's that for an intro?
It was fucking awful, Doug. Next time, do you want to actually maybe do 5 minutes? I said 2. I want you to do 5 because I have a feeling you're a slow reader. No shame in that. Take the time to actually read up on this person and figure out exactly what's going on before making a video that says male boxes female at the Olympics. Feel sorry for as in wokeism. Before lying to your audience with this short. Just a recommendation. Yeah, he also doesn't know what intersex means. No, he doesn't. Yeah, I think it's funny. Like, oh, I guess they're just intersex. Like, what's intersex? Like, like there's a red light, a yellow light, and a green light, and I guess intersex is yellow for Doug. Like I really don't think that that it's any more like sophisticated than that. He's just goofy as fuck.
So bad news is this is considered hate speech. Good news is
Stephanie brings up a great point here. There's a link to it as well. A test that in 2000 was determined to be difficult, expensive, and potentially inaccurate. Yeah, this and the fascinating thing about this as well, this is not the first time the IOC has dealt with the idea of these kinds of gender or chromosome or hormone level sex tests in the Olympics. This has been going on for quite a while. You can get into I'm not going to get into it now because I'm going to wrap this up. I've gone longer than I wanted to, but you can check this out and get into the history of this as to where they've been going with that, right and wrong, because some of the decisions they've made are stupid. But some of these situations, they can't make these decisions based on the kinds of stuff that sci-fi brain here is saying, where, oh, well, you just use this test and determine objectively how many things they've got, chop it up that way, and then you go over to that camp and you go over to that camp. Camp pink, camp blue, dunzo. No one will have any problems anymore. And if you do, it's your attitude adjustment. Suck it up, buttercup. Like, okay. Why do I need the attitude adjustment? Because you are like losing your shit over something you clearly can't comprehend. Doug is the one that does not want to understand this issue for some stranger, or is simply incapable of really grasping it. When people explain concepts to him, he will act like, oh, yep, got it, and then the next day repeat the same bullshit someone called him out for, which tells me he's either not getting it or he's just disregarding it so he can continue to push what's really inside him, which is a desire to feed his feelings about this issue. But that is a great link. Take a look at that. I did skim that one as well, but I'm not going to try to get into all that because that is a bigger issue. And I'm pretty sure that link and other issues close to this have been covered on the Transpositions channel, which that link is up there, and I will post it again. Let's see here. Let's open this up. Copy link. Let's see. Yep. Right there.
it was brought back under appeal. I still had to take their course. And I mean, it's okay. According to YouTube, it's okay.
He had to take a course? Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God. Furthermore, these tests fail to exclude all potential imposters, are discriminatory against women with disorders of sexual development, and may have shattering consequences for athletes who fail. But these guys are really grasping for this idea, like, what we just need is a conclusive test that gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a black or a white, and we really want it to be a really binary thing here. I'm like, yeah, well, we've been telling you for a while that that's part of the problem, but okay. I'm not a doctor, but I noticed they don't become happier after changing. So I wonder, you've talked to all of them? I'm assuming you're referring to trans people. You've talked to all trans people that have had some kind of procedure done by a doctor, and you can tell me that they're not happier because they said they're not happier, and that was all of them, or because you don't get the impression they really are? Okay. And doesn't seem to decrease after operation. Your impression that they're not happy or their actual unhappiness? Viva Hernando, thank you very much for the super chat. He's a trans issue smooth brain. He admitted to IVF years ago and supports the people that will ban it. Really? He and his wife used IVF? Yeah, well, some Republicans want to ban it, others won't. But yeah, he is supporting them because they are consistent with his value system, which is cynical, ignorant corruption. So Has anyone kicked Moldilocks yet? Because I'm getting the urge
to say hateful things based on political party. So you can say Republicans are evil or Democrats are evil. They're evil, evil people. Terrible people. What's the new buzzword now? Weird. They're weird people.
Yeah, and Doug's living up to that perfectly here. Yes, this is fucking weird. Again, I'm just going to point this out. Nothing about this was started because trans people started this. Imani Khelif is not trans, does not fight, it does not identify as this, is not doing this under a pride flag. Nothing about this has anything to do with anybody in the LGBT community. She is an Algerian boxer representing herself and her country in the Olympics. That's it. The allegation that she's a secret male came from Umar Kremlov of the IBA. And then it turned into, well, she's trans, and the only reason that the IOC is letting this in is because they've been infected with the woke mind virus, right? That's the mentality, as opposed to, no, she's a female competitor. We have no reason to accept the claim from the IBA that she's a secret male when they won't put up any proof. They banned her a year ago because she beat another competitor. Why are we going to ban her? Why are we going to uphold that ban? For something that they won't substantiate. You're willing to come on and have a civil discourse. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now. We could, if you want to have this discussion later, just email me or something, or DM me. Well, yeah, it's probably easier for you to email me, jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com, if you wanted to have a talk. I don't really think that you do want to have a civil discourse. I think that you want to have a discourse where you collect clips from me that you're going to turn into shorts. I really don't understand why you have a problem with this. If you wanted to have a conversation with us, this is what I think we should do. If you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation later. I want you to answer 3 questions. What LGBTQA activist or activist organization represents or sponsors Imani Khelif? You made the claim in this video that LGBTQA people are making themselves look bad because of this situation. My understanding of what's going on here is that nothing about Imani Khelif's competition in the Olympics has anything to do with any advocacy for anything associated with the LGBTQA communities. So what did you mean by that? That's 1. 2, do you believe the claims that Umar Kremlin of the IVA is making, even though we have not seen any proof that these tests have been run, or even if they have been run, that they are accurate in any way and they represent the claims he's making? Are you content just taking him at his word? If so, why? To I lean yes. So you lean yes that you're just going to accept Umar Kremlov accusing Khelif of being a man. He's got, okay, so that they did do the testing. They've got the proof. There's absolutely, for whatever reason, they don't have any issues with the testing, even though other organizations have lots of questions about the accuracy of the testing. But he's not showing anybody the results. Okay, and you say none to the groups. Okay, then how are the LGBTQ people looking bad for this? My understanding of this is that the only people that have glommed onto this are conservatives and reactionaries who think that this is evidence that the IOC is too woke and is allowing trans competitors and secret men to beat up women in boxing. That's the narrative. And it's not true. Imani Khelif is a female competitor, boxing other female competitors. Did you have an issue? I guess this is a good 3rd question. Did you have an issue with Imani Khelif's performance in the Tokyo Olympics when she boxed them? You don't believe in what conspiracy theory I've proposed? What is the conspiracy theory is basically this. Umar Kremlov accused Imani Khelif of being a man in secret, and that he has evidence to prove that. He won't show the evidence. You're willing to believe him, right? You said you lean yes. My conspiracy theory is he's lying about that. It's not really a conspiracy theory. He's pissed because she beat a favored Russian competitor. And this is not the first time they've done that. Remember, the IBA was removed from consideration of involving themselves with the IOC and other organizations because they fix fights. Do you acknowledge that as a fact? The results are under medical privacy. That he's not afraid. They're under medical privacy. So it's okay for him to say that she's a man, but he can't prove it because he would be revealing her. He's already violated her medical privacy. That's not a viable defense. He won't show the evidence, but he will make what seem like unfounded accusations as to her sex identity. She's got XY chromosomes. Do you see a problem with that? Oh, I'd give you the proof, but I can't because it's against the law. Trust me, she's a guy. No problem with that at all, Doug. I agree with Bree here. The conspiracy is that Imani has XY chromosomes. That is what Umar is putting out there to the public. She is a man. And you guys are like, yep, not just any man. The trans boxer beating up those defenseless lady girls in the ring like the monster he is, right? That's the conspiracy theory with no proof, just the word of Umar Kremlev. I hope that Colleen sues because then the truth evidence can come out. Cool. In the meantime, don't you think you should do the honest thing, put a pin in that, a big ass question mark, and maybe not call this short male boxes female at the Olympics? Don't you think that's more honest since you can't confirm that information? And Umar Kremlev won't? What difference does it make? What difference does that make? The accusation is that she is a man, not that she has DSD and DSD is not intersex necessarily. That is not the point. He said she's a man. She's got an XY chromosome and the testosterone levels of a guy. That's essentially his claim. He won't back that up. And and you're saying, well, he claims he can't, it's protected. But he has no problem accusing her of that in order to get her disqualified with no proof. Do you not have a problem with how incredibly fucking sleazy that is to do? The probability of her being DSD is not an issue here. That's only an issue for a freak like you who is concerned about trans people competing in sport. And that has nothing to do with this. This is an issue. Umar's allegation is not that there's a spectrum here or any of the trans stuff you guys love to like you just can't figure out. You can't figure out. Now all of a sudden you want to get into the spectrum. Kremlin said she's a man. That's essentially, he's keeping it simple. You guys are making it complicated in order to play apologists for his nonsense. I will concede that it was a bad title. I didn't make it clear it was from the IBA. You should. Now that you know, change it. Because that title, as it stands right now, is a lie. Also, the hashtags feel sorry forism and wokeism apply to you and your group. You feel sorry about this. Because, right? You're the one that feels bad. No one else really has an issue with this because everyone else is looking like, what the fuck is going on? Umar has a problem and stated the problem. And then when asked to back it up, he's given some dipshit response. He can't possibly do that, even though he's run his mouth in a way that has made him liable for some shit. And she's filed complaints against moral harassment. Yeah, my understanding is she's probably going to go all in on trying to adjudicate this, and I hope she is successful. Again, that is your issue, dog. Oh my fucking God. What is the probability that anyone has DSD? It does not matter for the situation. Trans people did not bring this scenario up. This has nothing to do with trans people except for the ones you dragged into it to try to punch down on them and make them look bad. What is the probability in your view that Colleen has DSD, and is it higher than the average of the population of all people in the world? If so, why? I don't care about that because I'm concentrating on the actual allegation. The actual allegation from Umar Kremlin was that she's a secret male. J.K. Rowling and other weirdos out there are trying to turn this into, she's got DSD, she's got intersex, she's a trans, I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck about that.
See, weird. When the Democrats call Republicans weird or Trump weird, that's a dog whistle.
Why is that a dog whistle? You are actually being weird about weird right now. This is crazy. I've answered all your questions poorly. And the one question that you've asked me back is, what do I think is the likelihood that she's DSD? As if you did not understand the first time I answered that has nothing to do with the issue we're talking about. That is a distraction that you guys keep bringing up in order to shift the conversation back over into a broader conversation about the appropriateness of trans people competing in various sports, which has nothing to do with this because we still haven't established that Imani Khelif is anything other than female. Everything we have established thus far has supported the fact she's female and has mitigated against Umar Kremlin's claims that she's male. That's where we're at right now. You wanting to get into the odds that she's got DSD have no bearing on this situation. None. So in that case, I hope I've answered all your questions. I imagine that some of this will end up getting turned into clips later. I apologize that I wasn't willing to talk to you about this, but now that you've answered those questions, maybe we could have a cordial conversation about something else in the future that doesn't involve this, because you've demonstrated a complete incapacity to learn about this shit. Holy fuck. Even this issue, man. This is a non-issue entirely, and you are running with it like a dog with a bone. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, everybody in the live chat for this, and thanks to Pine Creek for showing up and asking some truly ignorant fucking follow-up questions, but that was interesting. I hope you enjoyed the Olympics, and I hope you enjoyed this boxing thing, even though, again, greasy goofball weirdos are trying to turn it into something that it's not. A secret conspiracy of male athletes pretending to be women who go into the ring and brutalize women for the sake of your enjoyment and their sick, twisted pleasure, right? But I'm the one engaging in a conspiracy theory because I think Umar Kremlin is full of shit. Unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable. Don't get emotional, Jeff. You made this video. You made a video with the title, Male Boxes Female at the Olympics with an exclamation point. Who got emotional first, Doug? It wasn't fact-finding that made you name it that way. If you were doing fact-finding, you wouldn't have even dreamt of calling it that way. You would have thought first, well, wait a minute. That's not really accurate. The IBA is accusing her of being a secret man. And she's boxing women at the Olympics. But you didn't do that, did you? You named it something else. Why? Why would you do that? Were you emotional, or were you counting on the emotions of your fans? Or were you counting on the emotions of your enemies? Are you doing this just to people? It doesn't make sense to do that if you're not being cheeky. You're being a liar. Until this is established, you're just lying. And don't tell me whether or not I can and get emotional. I do not have you. I don't. I don't need your permission about whether or not I get emotional, and that's not how emotions work anyway. But you demonstrated that you're ignorant about how emotions work. Like they can just be turned on and off. It's like an option in a car. I could answer all your questions better face to face. You said you were wrapping this up, but here we are still going. Well, you're still putting stupid stuff in my live chat. So yeah, this would go a lot longer if you were on the channel. So don't play coy. This would go on for a lot longer. But if you wanted to have this conversation later, we could. But I'm not inclined to discuss this particular topic because you won't stay on topic. Secret conspiracy of Russian interference. There's no Russian interference. I'm not claiming that there's Russian interference. The fact that Umar Kremlov is Russian is incidental. The only connection there is that Gazprom is a Russian organization that is the sole sponsor of the IBA, and Umar Kremlov happens to be the head of it. They also happen to favor Russian competitors. They were accused of this. They were found to be fixing fights in this way. That was one of the reasons why the IOC kicked them out. That's not a secret conspiracy. That's something that's been established about the IBA now. There's no conspiracy that Umar Kremlov made these allegations against Imani Khelif. And so far, they sound like lies. Everything mitigates against his claim. And you made a video supporting his claim. Title and all. I blame Pine Creek. What are you, Doug, are you... I really think instead of making shirts, I really think that you need to get therapy. I'm not blaming you for my emotional reaction. That's not how it works. I will blame you for telling me or anyone else to not be emotional. Human beings are emotional. That's like telling people to stop breathing. That was kind of my point there. I changed the title of the short. Good. So hopefully the title is now no longer a lie. Let's see. I mean, really, this is like talking. I mean, someone's encouraging me this, but I'll give them props too. This is like talking to Steve McRae. It really is. I mean, this is like Steve McRae, kind of like, what was the rape apology thing that he went on? I mean, what the fuck, Doug? What the fuck? Gazprom. It's not a Gazprom conspiracy. It's a doofus that runs an organization that is not exactly transparent, who has basically made up a lot. He's the one that's essentially created the conspiracy. She lied about her gender and sex and is competing against women, right? That's the implication. And that's where your anti-feel-sorry-for-ism instincts are going, right? She's a secret male, and she's using that advantage to chalk up win after win after win in the Olympics, even though she's not. She's lost. When she was in the Olympics in 2020, the Tokyo Olympics, she got. I think that was the one where she got beat by the Irish competitor. So none of this is really lining up. Well, Colleen should sue. She has to. I mean, at this point, she has to sue because what Kremlov did is criminal in at least several countries. Pine Creek is just that lazy asshole who's commodified hate. It's the extent of his creativity. I mean, it really is. Other than that, and twisting people's words into something that they didn't say. It's like talking to somebody's like ADHD addled dad. Not to get too ableist about it, but do you think YouTube should have removed that short I made? Yes, because you labeled it a lie. I don't know if it constitutes as like quote unquote hate speech per se. I don't know if it rises to whatever level they've set for that, but you said a male was boxing a female. You have no proof of that. It's at the very least misinformation. At worst, it's deliberate disinformation. You did not have proof of that. You labeled it with a lie. They should have removed it. And they should have kept it removed unless you changed the label. Well, then why did YouTube bring it back? Didn't you appeal it? Didn't you say that you appealed it and they brought it back instead? Right. I feel like I feel like you're doing something really kind of dumb here, Doug. Here's the thing. If somebody flagged it for hate speech, it probably triggered the removal. If you then flagged it, and if you then went back and appealed that decision, and they take a closer look at it, then maybe they pull it up because it's not hate speech. I don't know if that means, in a very administrative kind of bureaucratic way, somebody couldn't have also come around and labeled it as misinformation because it says male versus female boxer, and that wouldn't have gotten it removed too. That could have it could have been just as effective as having labeled it as hate speech. These are internal things that YouTube's system does. My assumption is that the reason it got brought back is because you appealed it. It violates community guidelines regarding misinformation. Exactly. And when they brought it back, somebody could have turned around and flagged it again for exactly that reason, because it is misinformation. And it could have gotten removed a second time. Yes, but not all appeals mean automatic bringing it back. Are you drunk right now? What did I just fucking say? If they didn't feel that it stands on the grounds of being hate speech, then they bring it back. You asked me if I thought it should be removed. Yes, but not necessarily on the grounds that it was hate speech. I agree that it should be removed because it was misinformation. Now you're saying you changed the title. So maybe now it's fine. Maybe now it's just a dumb short that you've done. Not a blatant piece of shit. No, I did not. I was planning on covering it. That got removed before I had a chance to watch it even a second time. Yeah, Pine Creek doesn't even have the integrity to admit that his channel is largely an anti-trans channel and gaining subscribers because of that fact. Exactly. Michael Dean, I flag every single video you make for hate speech. Be mad about it. That's more time than I'm willing to take, but that's hilarious. I would Titan says he'd imagine dozens of people had probably flagged it for that. When I saw it and was like, a guy is boxing a woman, what the hell is this about? And then looked into it, I was like, oh, Doug at the very least is exaggerating with his titles again, or more accurately, lying through his teeth, which is what you did. Can you prove it's misinformation? Lack of evidence doesn't mean something is false, just no justification it is true. So if somebody makes an accusation against you, it's necessarily true until you've proven it false? Is that how you want to work? Can I prove it's misinformation? At this point, I didn't even have to. Right? Like when I saw your short, I looked up the information, like who is this person, Imani Khelif? I start looking up the stories on it and find out she's a boxer. She doesn't have a controversial win-loss record per se. It's not overwhelming. She's okay. She seems to be kind of a promising talent. She's been competing for about 6 years. She competed in the Summer Olympics in Tokyo. I don't think she medaled there. Didn't seem like she caused any controversy there. Neither did the Taiwanese woman that got dragged into this either. But around last year or so, she and the Taiwanese woman both ended up getting mysteriously blackballed by the IBA after their victories against certain opponents. After those victories, they were subjected to, according to Kremlin, I don't know what the tests were, but he says they gave them sex tests and determined that they had elevated testosterone and XY chromosomes, and then banned them from the sport. So that's where it stood. The IOC allowed them to box because they don't recognize the IBA's decision, because it seems like the IOC recognizes that the IBA is kind of full of shit since they rigged matches and got caught doing it at least 11 times. So that's kind of where that stood. So you got one guy saying 2 competitors are secret men. And when asked to provide proof of any kind, he said no. And you're trying to say, well, his defense for that is that he can't possibly do that in defense of their medical privacy. Interesting. But he had no problem running his mouth and accusing them of being secret men, which is actually also in violation of their medical privacy. He didn't have to go into any details. He could have just said, we failed them. They failed these sex tests. And so per our guidelines, they can't compete in the IBA. Then people can get into the weird shit in the background. So can I prove it's misinformation? It was presented as misinformation from Umar Kremlov. He came out and presented it as if we have determined that, at least in the case of Imani Khelif, she's secretly male. And that's why she's not allowed to fight in our organization. And nowhere, anywhere else, can anyone back up anything that he's saying. And can I prove that what you said is misinformation? Yes, because your title was male boxes female in the Olympics, exclamation point. It's not been established that she's a male, but you went with that title anyway. That's misinformation, Doug. If you can't prove it or you can't substantiate it, don't state it as a fact. Well, we should both be thankful to YouTube. I mean, you're doing great on YouTube, right? Let's see. I'd say only about 5% of my channel is about the queer community, but given the reaction here, I need to boost that up. Pine Creek, the majority of your you've been getting a boost in viewership and subscribers probably from your shorts, right? Most of your shorts are culture war politics stuff, not the atheism stuff. I mean, I would agree. It's not just your cringe takes on anything involving LGBTQ, but all right. Well, I think that's gonna do it. Khelif appealed the IBA decision, then later dropped it because maybe it would reveal the truth? ? Now who's engaging in conspiracy theories? Why the needless speculation? Do you know that she appealed it? One. Do you know that she dropped it? If she did, do you know why? Why? It will reveal the truth. You're talking like a conspiracy theorist now and complaining that I'm the one. It's not been established that she is female either. It actually has been established that she's female. In her country of origin, she is female. That has been established. Have you read anything about this boxer? There's pictures of her as a kid. She has a birth certificate. She is female. I don't understand the... And then, yeah, tell you, she dropped it because the IBA was discredited. Well, yeah. Also, another good reason. If she appealed the decision with the IBA, it would be because she wants to be able to compete in the Olympics, and the IBA's decision to disqualify her would keep her out of the Olympics. Once the IOC has kicked the IBA out, their decision against her isn't going to weigh against her. She was eligible to compete in the Olympics, and she did, and she just gold medal. So it worked. Other than assigned at birth, I don't know how Algeria does it, Pine Creek. But her family, there's family photos, relatives. She's a woman. She is a human female woman. She is never identified as anything other. Is she a good athlete and talented and maybe stronger than average? Sure. Does that mean she's got a wang? No. I think Umar Kremlov thinks that that's how it works, but... Pine Creek is the Tim Pool of Jimmy Dores. This is kind of fun. JL says, and that was a stupid move given the existential threat Christian nationalism poses to democracy. He's referring to Pine Creek's switch in his content. Yeah, but Doug doesn't care about democracy. So how you believe the birth certificate, Stephanie's original birth certificate? Doug, have you read anything? Answer me this question. Have you read anything about Imani Khelif that wasn't being yelled at you by somebody like Megyn Kelly? Anything at all? Yeah, exactly. You keep name checking me, having fun. Yeah. Well, he's here to pick a fight. So, yes. Okay. So, do you think that the reason that I'm satisfied that she is a woman is because I've somehow seen her birth certificate and it's basically like, and I'm treating it like the 10 Commandments? No. From the accounts from her parents, friends, family, pictures of her as a kid, paperwork, and the laws of Algeria, she's a woman. Do you think Algeria is some kind of special place where you can kind of play fast and loose with whether or not you're a guy or a girl? Right. And I'm losing fun in this because this would like if Imani Khalif came from the Netherlands or Denmark, right, or one of these other places that conservatives like to punch on because they think that they're too woke and feel sorry for, I would get it. Imani Khalif is from Algeria, for fuck's sake. Algeria. Again, I would ask, how easy do you think it is to be trans in Algeria? In the United States, said Stephen. Laws in the United States. We're not talking about the United States, doofus. We're talking about Algeria. And nothing about Imani Khalif's appearance has changed other than she wears boxing gear and she's bigger than she was in the photos where she's a little girl wearing a bow. Did Jay show up? Oh, I thought my brother was actually here. All right. Weird. Such an obsession over birth certificates. Yeah, well, they conclusively prove your race and your gender, apparently, in sex. Is that what I said? Doug, just admit you want to see her down there. Is that what you want? Do you want her to be? The only way that you're going to be satisfied with this is if they parade her on a stage and undress her and then probe her and everything and make sure, like, and even if they do that, I think I asked this at the beginning, does she have to be able to produce a kid? Are you going to get like JD Vance weird about this? You know. Yeah, it's ridiculous the way he flirts with her. Titan, don't say that. Some people in here might actually believe that. He's a foreign national with suspected ties to an enemy state. Yeah, those damn Canadians constantly invading. What law governs a man or a woman? Last time I checked, hospitals assign people as male or female. Also, a lot of instances of those being incorrect. That's true too. So yeah. Well, all right, folks. I guess with that, I'm going to let it go. Doug just thinks that we're all just being emotional. He's got his finger on the trigger. He knows, right? He wasn't taken advantage of by some greaseball in Russia, right? Like the goofy piece of shit that runs the IBA and ran it into the ground, apparently, by all accounts. No, it's okay. He's got this, like, he's playing this 4-dimensional Steve McRae chess game with us. And just winning in a way that we can't comprehend. We'll only comprehend it, in the afterlife when we're more fully aware of what's going on around us. All I'm asking for is just let me know. Just to let you know, I have half my brain tied behind my back to make this fair. Did you have half your brain tied behind your back when you made that title a lie for your short? I mean, we weren't talking then when you made the short. So how do you, what, to what degree? Well, I mean, were you shoving crayons up your nose? And when you got to 6, you're like, okay, yeah, you can get all the red meat stuff for the conservative subscribers. I'm just asking for a friend. And if maybe I should do that, if I consider like a paradigm shift in my content, I know how many crayons to shove up my nose to make me stupid enough to produce reliably entertaining content for bigots and freaks. Here comes another conspiracy theory. The crayons. You're right. Why would I delete it? I can get some good shorts from. That's all you do is take shorts from these. That's why I didn't want you to come on for an actual conversation, which you're going to take a clip of. Because actually, if we do have a conversation, well, actually, answer me this. I really want to know. Give me your honest answer. Do you want to have a discussion about Imani Khelif's and the Taiwanese boxer's actual situation, or do you want to have a prolonged conversation about trans individuals in sports? Which one? Which one are you more interested in? I guess it depends on what you mean by shorts. Shorts you wear? Definitely. I'm scared. I mean, you're from Arizona. It's a hot place. I'm sure that they can get grungy. The former. So you want to talk about the actual situation. Are you capable of having a conversation about their situation without veering off into crazy rants and tangential diatribes about trans people in sports generally? I'm not hearing a no. G-Man is more intimidating than you. Okay, I think maybe he missed them. Anyway, I am going to say this. I don't believe you. I don't really. I think that the reason that you're interested in this story is because of the way it got weaponized against trans people in the trans community. You wouldn't have made the little editorial about how this makes the LGBTQ community look bad if you hadn't internalized it and reacted to it that way. If you had thought about this for a little bit longer, you'd realize they didn't have anything to do with it. Right. The allegations against Imani Khelif had nothing to do with involvement in the LGBTQ community, her identification as being either trans or intersex or any of this kind of stuff. It was literally an accusation out of nowhere from a head of the IBA saying she failed this sex test. She's a secret man. The trans stuff and the LGBTQ and the feel sorry for ism, and you guys connecting this to the bleeding heart, tree hugging libs, that was all you guys. You guys brought all of that into the party, and it has contributed nothing to it, but it's made you more likely to tell blatant lies about it, which you did. So I'll check out the title to the short later and see what you named it. And if I'm unsatisfied, I'll leave a comment and we'll go from there. So with that, we will get out of here. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Thank you, everybody in the live chat. Like, subscribe. If you've got any suggestions or videos, hate speech, whatever you want to send, jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com. I don't expect anything from Doug. I imagine I will see it in the form of a short by the end of tonight. So, I mean, the first one. So can Doug control himself and not compulsively start spamming shorts based on the great content I have just granted him? No, he can't. He doesn't have the self-control. He would like to tell you that he does, but he does not. So thanks, folks. I'm going to get out of here. A few other people are going to be going live tonight. Maya usually goes live at 9 p.m. tonight on Sundays. So I've got a few things I'm going to get done before I have to go to work, but I will be going to watch her channel at 9 if she is going to be on. So if you don't have it, if you need something to watch, something fun, go watch that. Should be her and Tap Weasel and guests. So, yep, you're welcome, Maya. And thank you for that reminder, PC. And I guess we're going to get out of here. yeah, with that, I will be back later on in the week to cover some more stuff. Actually, Doug's had a few things to say about Tim Walz. I'm going to be covering that stuff too. So I might as well just, warn him in advance. Don't take don't take that last live one down, because that's where you got the shorts about Tim Walz from, I'm assuming. So I need that for content, Doug. And if you're using mine for content, leave yours up for my content. That's how it works. All right, folks. See you later. Have a great rest of your weekend. Catch you all next week.